Hello everyone, welcome to the final session on AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner Crash Course. So I would like to congratulate each and every one of you if you reach till this point. In this session, we are going to discuss about what are all the services which we left as the part of the discussion till now. So in the past 12 courses, we dealt with various different areas, area specific services, say like storage, say like compute, like analytics, like machine learning, like developer tools, like security and compliance. So I had designed this course in such a way so that I can accommodate each and everything under a category, specific category. So I am once I am done with all these things, finally I left with some of the services. So I decided to put the final session on the services which I left so far. So without further ado, let's start this. So some other core services in AWS which we need to be aware of while sitting this exam. First thing in this list, it is going to be SQS. Pathetic to say, SQS is the first service which got introduced by AWS back in 2002-2003. So SQS is simple. It's a simple queue service. It provides the queuing mechanism which provides you to decouple your applications between the various different sections. Say if I'm having the application, I want to decouple it, you can very well store the data onto the SQS, and from there you will be having the other application which pulls the data from the queue and it will do the processing. So simple queue, it provides the queues in a simple way. So there are two types of queues which are provided to us by SQS. One is the standard queue. What is the standard queue? Standard queue, it looks all about this queue in general. It is typically a FIFO, it is first in first out type of queue, but standard queue is not like that. So standard queue provides and single time, at least one time delivery, which means we will be having the option that same message will be delivered twice. That option is there. And best effort ordering, there is no rule that your messages will be delivered in the same order. You can see this picture, 1 2, after that 5 came, and then only 3 came. So the 3 came twice over there. So these type of things will be available to you in the standard queue. The other option is FIFO queues, which is the typical queue where it is a single one time delivery. It will be processed only once and it will be processed in the same order, 1 2 3 4 5, it will be processed in the same order. So depending on your need, you can select the typical queue types. And long polling option is there. It is like you can wait for more time so that whenever the message comes to your queue, then you can process it. It can wait up to 20 seconds for the message to arrive. So typical data processing time, typical data retention time in SQS is 14 days. And SQS provides the dead letter queues mechanisms as well. Dead letter queues is all about storing the messages, storing the data which got errored out. Say I am processing the data from the queue and I am not able to do something, then you can very well make use of dead letter queue and post the messages to dead letter queues. So from there you can take the decisions and you can do the processing accordingly. So it's a simple queue service which provides all the queuing mechanisms. The other important thing to know is SNS. SNS will be integrated throughout the course. We talked about SNS in an intensive way wherever there is a notification is getting involved. Say I want to get an SMS, I want to get an email. Whenever something happens on my system, then SNS is the single stop for that. So it's a fully managed messaging service which provides both A to A and A to B communication. It works on a pub sub mechanism. You need to know three important things for SNS. One is the subscriber, and another one is the publisher, and another one is the topic. So publisher publishes the messages to the mechanism. Say in this case it is going to be any of the AWS service, say like Lambda will publish the message to SNS. SNS will be having something called as a topic. So in the topic you can subscribe it. Subscriber can be anybody, it can be, again, it is going to be anything. In this case, typical ideal scenario, subscriber is going to be an email, it is going to be an push messages. So this supports the fan out architecture. Fan out in the sense, you can push, publisher can be one person can publish the message to the SNS topic, but there can be multiple subscribers for the single topic. So this is the fan out architecture. As we already discussed, email, SMS and mobile push notifications are supported. Similar to SQS, standard and FIFO queue options are also supported using SNS. The other thing in the other services category, it is going to be AppSync. AppSync is all about GraphQL APIs. So if you want to design the APIs, it is again a serverless service. If you want to design the API, direct API for my DynamoDB or Lambda, you can very well make use of AppSync, which provides the GraphQL based APIs. So in your exam, if you are seeing anything related to GraphQL, then AWS AppSync is one viable option. AWS Step Functions is quite interesting thing to know. It provides, say for Lambda, we are having the maximum runtime of 15 minutes, which means we need to complete a process within the Lambda within that 15 minutes of time. So we need an orchestrator to orchestrate the process. If I take a typical serverless architecture, in this case it is going to be multiple Lambdas. There are a lot of Lambdas which are going to be triggered. So I need an orchestrator to orchestrate that complete Lambda flow. AWS offers that thing using an function called step functions. Step functions is all about workflow configuration. You can configure the workflows. Say as you see in this diagram, you can see it's a typical graphical workflow where you can design that. So what will happen next, and all. So you can see the success and failed, the status of the various states over there. We used to call it as finite state machines in step functions. So each and everything are state machines over there. So it is very well helpful if you are going ahead with serverless type of and data orchestration. So lot of built-in features like error management, state management, and visual monitoring, everything will be provided to us using the step functions. The next service is API Gateway. If you are aware of building the APIs with AWS, API Gateway is one good option. So it provides a full set of RESTful and WebSocket APIs. It provides the API Gateway cache as well. It caches something. This diagram explains it in a very clearer way. So you can integrate any of your mobile applications or web applications or IoT devices with API Gateway. So API Gateway will be integrated with Lambda, EC2, and all the interrelated AWS services to provide the API set of rich features for our needs actually. So you can maintain and monitor secure APIs at scale using the API Gateway. And SES is quite an older service, but if you want to maintain the email servers within the AWS, then SES is the option to scale the email service and enable developers to send the email. So it is interoperable with SNS. SNS also provides the emailing mechanism. SES is slightly global in terms of all email related services. Amazon Workdocs, simple thing to know. You can remember Workdocs like the G drive. In G drive, you will be storing any of the documents, anything, right? Similar way, Amazon provides Workdocs. Where you can store all your documents and all these things. It provides 1 TB of maximum usage per user, and it provides unlimited number of versioning. This is one important service you know as the part of the exam. Coming to the other core AWS services, Amazon Workspaces. Workspaces is one important thing. It is like if you want the desktop as a service option from AWS, it is going to be Amazon Workspaces. Amazon Workspaces provides lot of Windows based desktops. So for an organization like smaller startups and other people, they are not interested to invest on laptops and other things, so they can very well make use of Workspaces. They can virtualize the desktops for them. So you can make use of bring your own licenses as well. It provides some persistent storage, and it will provide very well integration with Microsoft Active Directory and Radius as well. Amazon Amplify is one rich set of tool. It provides an integration for web and mobile developers. If you are going to develop the web and mobile application, it provides the complete full stack facilities which with all the required services to develop your application. So no need to worry about your front end. You can just configure the back end and connect your app with the AWS Amplify. Amplify will take care of all the front end related stuff for you. AWS Device Farm. This is quite interesting thing. This is the testing device. Device Farm provides the testing service so that you can test your application and code. Say, consider I am developing an app for Android. I need to test that app. So AWS Device Farm will provide you the complete rich set of facilities to test your app in the extensive desktop browser. Say web application as well. It is like on the web browsers, desktop browsers, and real-time mobile devices. It's a testing service which is provided by AWS to test your application on top of web browsers and mobile applications. Coming to Elemental Media Convert. Elemental Media Convert is one important service to know. Previously, we used to have something called as an elastic transcoder. It is all about transcoding. I want to convert my video into some specific format, from MP3 to MP4, from some format to some other format. I want to compress my video. So all these type of video transcoding facilities are provided to you using Elemental Media Convert. Older form for this is AWS Elastic Transcoder, but AWS recommending to make use of Media Convert since they are going to deprecate the Elastic Transcoder nearly. So that it is all about video transcoding. You can see this over here. It converts, say, source media content, and then it converts it in based on our need, and then it converts to various different formats for Apple and all these things. Then you can store it in S3 as well. Then you can deploy it using CloudFront. So all these types of options are provided to us using the Elemental Media Convert. Coming to the migration services, we need to be aware of some 2 to 3 migration services. AWS Server Migration Service is one important thing. So if I am having my on-premises data centers, I am having my servers which is running on my on-premise. I want to migrate my servers to AWS. So how I can do that? You can do it using AWS Server Migration Service, which predominantly helps you in terms of migrating your Linux-based servers to AWS. So it provides a lot of options like agent-led service, and it provides the application discovery, where it discovers your servers which is lying on premises and provides you with the detailed plan and how you can migrate your server from your on premises to AWS. And coming to AWS Transfer Family, AWS Transfer Family is another one which provides you the connectivity between your on-premises to AWS. If you are going to do the file transfers using regular SFTP, FTP, and FTPS, you can very well make use of Transfer Family to connect your on-premises to AWS S3 or onto AWS EFS. Coming to the last thing in the migration, it is important thing to know AWS database migration services. So similar as we discussed for server migration, say I want to migrate my on-premises Oracle database to AWS Oracle. So what I can do, you can make use of a database migration service which helps you to migrate your databases to AWS in a very quick and secure way. So your application, on-premises application, will be fully operational during the time of migration. Your downtime will be very minimal when you do the migration from your on-premises to AWS. So there are two sorts of migrations here. One is the homogeneous migration and another one is the heterogeneous migration. Homogeneous is all about on-premises Oracle to RDS Oracle. This is going to be homogeneous, same type of the database. But if I want my on-premises MySQL to be migrated to Aurora in my AWS, then it is going to be heterogeneous migration. AWS database migration service supports both homogeneous and heterogeneous types of the migrations. Last service to know, it is AWS professional services. It's all about APN. APN is all about partner network which you can venture with AWS. AWS is having some rules. They are having some conditions which you need to satisfy to establish the professional services with AWS. This is one important thing you need to know as the part of the cloud practitioner exam. So we came to conclusion. I hope I know this complete lecture is slightly intensive. I'm trying to cover it. Trying to make it very short and sweet. So it gone in that way. So it is very intense. So whatever the things which we discussed so far in this series of lectures, I hope all these things are very much interesting to you. I hope you gain some knowledge. But one thing for sure, whatever which is required to pass the AWS Cloud Practitioner exam, I put in all the details as the part of this series. So if you are completely aware of each and everything which we discussed as the part of the series, then you can very well comfortably sit for the exam and pass the exam. So before closing the things, I just wanted to explain about something which is called as a Dunning-Kruger effect. This is very close to me. So while I am studying about this, I need to take this as the part of my session. So while starting, it is when we start our reading process or learning process. So initially how it goes, it starts with know nothing, which means in this point you don't know anything about that. Consider here, if you are a learner, if you are starting the AWS journey, in this point you will start. So what it happens, slowly you will gain something, you will start learning about something. What happens, your confidence level will reach to a peak within the short duration of time. It goes to a peak. That is what we call it as peak of Mount Stupid. You learn something. After some time, you came to a conclusion that I know everything. That is called as a peak of Mount Stupid. So after the period of time, once you started learning more and more and more and more, then only you realize you didn't know anything. Then at some point in time, you come to know you know nothing. So it is like that is what we call it as a program termination zone. In this point in time, we are trying to regret. It is like we are going to terminate our program. So since we came to know we don't know anything, that's again it is called as a valley of despair. So once after reading, after learning lot of things, then only there comes the slope of enlightenment. Then after some point in time, once you become the guru, or once you came to know about many things on the specific subject area, then only you will get the required knowledge to gain the mastery on the subject. So I thought of explaining this to you. Hopefully you people, this course and all these sessions are very intense, are very short. So whatever I covered as the part of the sessions is just the tip of the iceberg. There are lot of things to learn, lot of things to know. So I'm very much interested to cover this as the part of my conclusion lecture. I hope these sessions are very much informative for you. I am planning to give one more session on the sample questions, so that we can revise the sample questions and cover and try to understand whether we had covered all the topics in this session correctly. So thank you very much for watching this video series, and I am hopefully I'm looking forward to see you in some other sessions as well. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.